Hello and welcome to Beyond the Veil background information. I've got the washing machine on in the background somewhere, so you might be picking up the sounds of it while I'm recording. I hope you're not, but I do apologise if you do. Anyway, for this part of the culture section, we're going to be discussing the Metzger virus, which is practically the werewolf equivalent to rabies. Anyway, let's get started. Silence dropped in around her with a curious low mist that swallowed all sensation of time or touch. She felt her body hunch up into the form of a trembling human, wishing there was some cover to hide behind, but it would not save its life. The mind begged her mouth to speak like a human, to lie and cheat her way out of this predicament, but the awakened feral side craved the violence. Something powerful was on its way to stop the feral aspect from claiming more victims, from gaining blood and easing that odious desire for more flesh. She did not like the thought of not having to need blood. She did not like the fear, the pain, the trembling, and the constant itching that such a craving called out for. She did not want to be stopped. That's a quote from Guard Dog. During the years of the dragon demons, the Iron Wolves came into power and proved they could take them down. But with all eyes possessed on one particular enemy, another was created. Many believe it was a decision between Beelzebub Pestilence and the Demon of Wrath to create another kind of rabies that could infect the werewolves. It was hoped to create something that could battle the Iron Wolves, or at least keep the werewolves from reforming completely. It was a disease that completely removed the human control, that increased the hunger and the tendency for violence. It caused pain and intense cravings within the individual, with each kill just becoming a way to prescribe against the down from the thirst, forever just chasing the high and the desire to kill by mingling human addiction with feral ferocity. The disease manifested in humans bitten by the servants created to pass it. There were only a few needed, as the manner of the packs meant that they would turn on the infected to try to fight them. The disease was passed on through blood and saliva contact, as well as from intercourse. The human could pass it just like the wolf, unaware but of their growing illness. The disease in the human made them cold, ill, unable to go outside, and vicious, but always trying to keep someone around till nightfall when, moon or not, they were forced to shift. They would then brutally attack whatever met them, and the cannier ones, to cope with what they knew they'd want, would kill other humans in their human form and butcher them, hence the name of the disease is the German butcher. The Metzger was spread very easily. Only when they changed into a wolf did it become obvious who was infected as often. The freshly infected felt like they had a mild fever. If they were not killed properly and the carcass burned, then the infection remained on the ground for anything to pick up, turning into rabies on any normal animal or shapeshifter to touch it. The problem was exceptionally difficult to deal with, as when the animal did not die in its mad and frenzied state, the madness would spread into the human form and await humans to kill it, spreading the disease again. If the disease-stricken managed to cope and get all the killing it needed, the illness would slowly cause its body to digest itself and leave the plague-ridden dead within a month, looking starved and in agony, terrifying anyone that saw it. Tracking the Metzger became vital as much as killing it. All beings were told to report on signs of the infection seen in the werewolves to the Howling, the Veil Agents or the Iron Wolves. It was soon learnt that the Iron Wolf was immune to the illness, and by decapitating the victim they purified not only the blood but the soul, clearing away the disease. This made the Iron Wolves even more important, as the Metzger was soon kept to a few random infections in Europe, and then the purist movement occurred. When the situation with the lack of Iron Wolves was made clear afterwards, it later became obvious that the Metzger carriers had been given free roam in the East and were swarming like mad with demons enjoying it. It was from here knowledge came that a vampire had been infected, and for doing so, the vampire had gone completely mad and slaughtered, killing and eating even a demon before other demons had decided to rip it apart. The sudden understanding that vampires could be at risk encouraged the developments of the Howling in Europe, with Malvolia Viper even bringing in a sufferer of the disease to tell their story and explain what they felt, to let everyone know on the broadcast just what the Howling did to aid the scenario. The Metzger disease then had research put into it to try and find some kind of cure, with scientists learning that werewolves needed to take vaccinations for rabies and distemper to reduce the likely risk. However, it came with new speculation on how to cure the disease, knowledge that constant sedation could keep it calm but rendered the infected almost catatonic. In trying to choose a more humane option, the Veil Agents begged the Mestemma for help, and so areas of purgatory were opened up to house these beings in comfort with sedatives until their bodies passed away in sleep. It meant complete isolation save from the angels, constant medication, fluid meals and blood transfusions to keep them alive for a year after infection, but no one made it past the year marker. With the situation still very hard to manage and the Iron Wolves just starting to come back into play, it was also learnt that turning someone into a vampire just after their Metzger bite could prevent the illness, but still cause the being to shift under the moon and go into a frenzy requiring sedation. This method was seen as just as troubling as before, as a turned vampire could live practically forever, and that meant the infection still remained. But the decisions on what to do about the infection were decided to be left to the individual families and the being if they were sane enough, with most begging for euthanasia. With little to no way to truly prevent it, it was decided that one of the best ways to deal with it was to educate all beings of the Vale about it and how to contact their local howling. In every howling and every Vale school, as well as areas with known packs, there were soon warning signs placed about stating the common traits of Metzger and how to report it. The traits listed are as follows, applying both to the wolf, shift, and the human form. 1. Increased paranoia. 2. Increased irritation. 3. Constant drooling or foaming. 4. Increased raw meat consumption. 5. Gnawing at their lips. 6. Scratching arms. 7. Bloodshot eyes. 8. Hunching expression. 9. Lying more regularly. 10. Insisting on company, whether through coercion or violence. 11. Unpredictable violent snaps. 12. Encouraging fighting behaviour. 13. Muscle shrinkage. 14. The gum line receding. 15. Laughing inappropriately. 16. Desperation to hunt or bite. And 17. Complete personality shift. In all cases, the being that has suffered Metzger for 5 days, commonly referred to as its incubation period wherein only a fever and slight irritability are present, the shifted being will hunch themselves off and keep their head to the side, rolling their eyes to show the white regularly. They will give off an aura of distrust and will not run or walk but slink with a sudden detachment to the pack. Their disquieting behaviour is often the first clue something is wrong, and after the 5-day incubation the disease is transmissible through bodily fluids. Metzger is a disease that has only just started to come back under check in the Vale, with most infections occurring in Eastern Europe, Asia and some areas of North America, though data from the Scandinavian Vale is not available. The disease is unpredictable in how virulent an infection may be, but when it is identified, a special magic shield is arranged or exorcist symbols used to keep houses protected, but the civilian population quarantined, though it is often dealt with so fast that it's not always likely a population will even know. There have been few cases of Metzger outside the Vale, but it is feared that infection to the region beyond the Vale could damage the innocence of human lives and force the Vale itself to be revealed. So it's a very serious illness, and I hope you found that interesting. Thank you.